All units stand 3. It now appears as though shots are being fired. All officers use caution. It has been confirmed. Suspects are armed and are firing at police.
60 on the air. Northwest Signal 10. Building fire. Headquarters. Northwest Signal Fire Department. 1000 North Broadway. Towards North Park Drive in North Albany.
Multiple explosions coming from 661. Unable to get any ambulance, any rig out except for 667. Automatically go to a third alarm.
Hey, welcome to Scanner School. This podcast is here to teach you everything to know about the scanner radio hobby. My name is Phil Lichtenberger. My amateur radio call sign is W2LIE, and my GMRS call sign is WQXJ920. This is session number 240. 240 of the podcast episode. Can't believe another milestone here in the books here. Whew. All the session notes can be found online at scannerschool.com/session 240. Again, as a reminder, already next week, is another Ask Scanner School podcast episode. And in order to do those podcasts, I need your questions. 516-308-2885 is the number you can call to leave me a voicemail with your question. I will play that audio on the podcast. And at the end of the podcast episode, if you use that number, or if you use our SpeakPipe link over at scannerschool.com/ask, I'll put you in a running for a free tutoring session. I offer tutoring as a way of helping you with a scanner radio issue or question that you might have. And anybody can go ahead and book me for a tutoring session by going to scannerschool.com/tutoring. And today, we are talking about war driving. Well, war driving really is a term that comes from the Wi-Fi cracking or hacking hobby. War driving basically means it's the search of Wi-Fi wireless networks, usually from a moving vehicle, using a laptop or a smartphone. So I'm going to borrow that term here. Hopefully nobody minds, right? And we're going to say we're war driving with our scanner radios, because why not, right? We're still pulling things over the air. So I'm not sure if another term exists for this or not. Maybe there is one, but we're going to borrow it, right? We're going to find frequencies. We're going to search them out with our scanner radio from a moving vehicle. And this could be one of the more interesting ways to find new frequencies, find changes to known frequencies, or uncover new users on frequencies we might have already logged. Now, since the state that I live in frowns upon having a scanner in your vehicle and using it per their vehicle traffic law, we'll just assume that I am doing my war driving on foot, that we are doing some war walking, or we're going to be doing some war parking or war sitting. We're not driving. We're not using our scanner in the vehicle. Make-believe time here, okay? So let's go through some different methods of discovering what is out there with war driving. War walking today on today's podcast. Now, before we get any further in this week's podcast, I want to take a few minutes to thank our Patreon supporters. Now, Patreon is an affordable way for you to support the podcast and our upcoming expansion into YouTube for 2022. So think of Patreon as the PBS model of helping out Scanner School. For a monthly or yearly donation, not only do you help support the podcast, but depending on your donation tier, you will receive certain benefits. The most popular benefit tier being our $5 a month or the $51 a year tier. It's the same tier. We just discount if you can pay us over a year. Now, this tier offers the podcast and YouTube videos early, and also you receive a free Squelchy pack of stickers, several discounts, and access to our monthly live scanner radio roundtable discussion we hold monthly on Zoom. Oh, and by the way, most of the Patreon levels also get a special version of the podcast that does not include the middle advertising break in each episode. Now, find out more about Patreon and our supporting tiers by visiting scannerschool.com/Patreon. I'd also like to take a moment here and thank all of our Patreon supporters. Alan Gonzalez, Arthur Heron, Bill Kay, Bob Middleton, Brandon Sammons, Brian King, Chris Paris, Craig Harper, Dan, Dave Pasco, David C., Denny Crotty, Dylan Hyder, Ed Walsh, Glenn Wright, Craig Johnson, Guy Lee, I Hate Junk Mail, Jack Haycock, Jacques Berry, James Broxton, James Felling, James Peruta, Jay Reed, Jeff Block, Jeff Chapman, Jeff McLeod, Jenny Taylor, Jim B., Jim Heinrich, Joe Curtis, John Cordoff, John Keel, John Sweeney, John Goldenberg, Joshua Robb, Ken Newberry, Kenneth Fowler, Kevin Zwicky, Lenny Bauer, Les Stevenson, Lloyd R., Mark Beebe, Mason Kramer, Michael Gorman, Michael Kroger, Mike Lopez, Nicholas Stenger, Paul Teal, Paul Seish, Randy Lee Wright, Raymond Hill, Roger Senstrom, Ronnie Bach, Sal Marandola, Scott Lefgren, Terry Wright, Tim Mazza, Todd Glendy, and William Arcand. All right, so how have I actually used war driving? Well, let's look at the practical uses of this. Why would we want to do this? Well, I've found a local school's analog bus channel was now DMR. I was walking past the school, and I heard something come through my scanner, and they were talking about letting somebody out to the buses. I knew what school I was driving past. I knew what frequency I happened to catch. I knew it was DMR. I had a color-coded time slot and a talk group. But when I went to radio reference to try and look up that frequency, I found out it was already assigned to a school that I had just passed as analog. So we found out that there was an update to the radios on campus, basically. So what did I do? I updated the radio reference database so that if anybody else now wants to listen to that, they have the information. And I wouldn't have found that unless I happened to be going past that position at that time when a user was on the radio and just things just happened to align. And that's the beauty, right, of war driving here, right? It's kind of a hit and miss type of deal, but it's very rewarding when things happen. You could also find, or I have also found, local repeaters that we did not know existed, local businesses using frequencies, security agencies, and we've used it to try and isolate a transmission for a local unknown federal trunk system that seems to be part of this trunk system but does not have any neighbors attached to it. So who would want to do this, right? Why would you want to find fast food drive-through frequencies or local repeaters or something like that, right? Well, it's part of the hobby, right? The secrets are in the searches. We've said this before. The secrets are in the searches. And if you want to know who's out there, and a lot of people carry radios. Like I just went out with my family last night to the local church fair, and they hired a security company. Now, did I see them actually talk on the radio? No, but they were all carrying radios with them. Is it possible the security company is using their own frequency? Yeah. Is it possible that they might be using the school's frequency? Maybe. Is it possible that when they key up, I might have a better luck at finding the school's frequency that I've been unsuccessful in finding so far? Absolutely, if they're using the school's frequency. But they might be using something like business band, which we would just be able to find in a business band search anyway. But if you want to know who's out there and what they're using and what might be happening just on the other side of out of sight, war driving's for you. It's a fun way of finding out information or finding out what else is out there. So what do you need? What do you need to get started on this exciting part of the scanner radio hobby? It could be very simple. It could be as simple as just having a scanner with you, a piece of paper, and a pencil. That's it. You put your radio in search mode and you find out what's out there. But to make things easier, what I have found is you get a radio that records things to a micro SD card. Because in the end, who wants to have a laptop plugged in with the audio cables and USB cables and everything else going? I mean, yeah, that would be the way to do it too. That would certainly be the way to do it, especially if you can geo log all the hits. I don't know if there's anything out there that will do that, to be honest with you. I don't even know if some of these radios, like the Udin radios, if you have GPS hooked up, will actually GPS log every hit that it receives that records to audio. Because, again, that would make things a whole lot easier of knowing when things happen too. But a scanner that records will automatically record the audio, the timestamp, and any information such as frequency, color code, time slot, talk group, PL, DPL, mode, right? So how do I recommend that you do this? Well, if you're stationary, it's pretty easy, right? Just watch the scanner. Keep a log, a paper log. I'm at this intersection. I'm in this parking lot. I'm in this facility. And on this frequency, I hear, sounds like a valet. And this frequency, it sounds like maintenance. And this frequency, it sounds like whatever, right? That's a very simple and easy way to do it. But if you're moving, if you're mobile, if you're walking, right? Again, a scanner radio that archives every single hit and transmission to a micro SD card will also save the file name with the date and time. If you know your route, you know roundabout where you've been during that route. So if it's 15 minutes after you've left the house that your audio is timestamped, you should know that I'm 15 minutes away from home when I'm in this general area. Again, your scanner will tell you. It will log for you in the audio format, frequency, mode, PL, DPL, NAC, color code, those kinds of information. And that's how you do it hands off, right? Let the scanner do the work. It's an easy way of doing it. In fact, I've even done it where I've been in a facility and I don't want to draw attention to myself. So I put the volume down way low and I put it in my backpack. And I just set it to just look through frequencies and record them. And at the end of my visit, what do? I go back and I see if there's any hits on the scanner. If there's no hits, then okay, there's no hits. But if there is a hit, we go back and find out who it is. Again, very easy and simple to do. It doesn't require you to be even like dedicating your time to it. It can run passively the way I've done it in a backpack or while I'm walking. It's not on my lap, in my hand, or anywhere else that I can get to it. So, on the other side of this break, we're going to talk more about war driving. And as a reminder, anybody who's a $3 a month Patreon supporter does not get this upcoming break. You can support us by going to scannerschool.com/Patreon. For everybody else, we'll catch you in just a couple of minutes. Hey, did you realize it takes us almost $100 a week just to have this podcast episode professionally edited and sent over to you? This doesn't even include website and podcast hosting, administrative help, and other monthly subscriptions that are required to put the podcast out there. Now, you can help us offset these costs when you shop online. So if you're looking for a scanner radio or some software, looking to bid on items over on eBay, or if you're looking to purchase anything, and I mean anything, on Amazon, you can help support Scanner School in the process. And this doesn't come at any extra cost to you. So please check out scannerschool.com/support for the multiple different ways that we have out there that you can help support us when you shop online. Again, scannerschool.com/support. Are you looking to learn more about the scanner radio hobby? We currently have courses on how to get started and up and running with software-defined radios and how to turn your SDR into a fully functioning scanner radio. With free software, you can see more and do more with trunking than ever before. And with new courses scheduled for the upcoming months, our offerings will be expanding into both Uniden and Whistler hardware and software. Check out our courses at courses.scannerschool.com or by looking for the link in this podcast description. National Communications Magazine is your personal library of scanner, CB, GMRS, FRS, MURS, and two-way radio articles written by the best minds in the business over the past 3 decades. Your NatCom personal online access account allows you to download the newest issues of America's hobby radio magazine, as well as back issues too. Visit natcommag.com to download your free sample issue and sign up today. Did you know that a pager can make a great addition to your scanner radio collection? And even if I didn't own East Coast pagers, I still have one or maybe a couple of pagers as a part of my scanner radio setup. This is because a pager can be used to just monitor your local fire department or your regional departments, and if you set it up correctly to alert you when the tones are sent over the air, then the pager will remain silent until you need to know what is going on. This frees up your scanner to monitor everything else that's going on besides your local stuff, or can prevent you from missing the local stuff because your scanner is busy doing other things. Now, pagers aren't just limited to fire dispatches anymore. Unication has great solutions to monitor both analog and P25 paging systems, where many public safety and police departments are switching over to. Swissphone and Apollo make great analog solutions as well, and all three still sell POGSAG and Flex pagers, still in use by many departments for text alerting. East Coast Pagers is an Apollo, Swissphone, and Unication dealer serving the North American market, and of course is one of my online companies. So if you're looking for a personal use pager or one for your department, contact us for a free quote and let us know you're a Scanner School listener for something a little extra with your order. For our full inventory or to request a quote or just to contact us, please visit eastcoastpagers.com. All right, so when should you war drive? All the time. Come on, are you serious? What kind of question is that? Anytime you go out is an opportunity for you to put the scanner into a search mode and hit record and just see if anything happens. Yes, even if you take the same routes all the time, because it just takes that one time for somebody to key up as you're passing by for you to know that there's something new out there. So do it on your daily commute. Do it on the way to the office if you're still working in an office. If you're dropping the kids off at friends' houses. If you're going to pick up pizza, right? Go and set your scanner up for war driving. Very simple. Like I said, it's passive to do. Do it when you're traveling somewhere new. If you're staying in a hotel, you're going to an amusement park, right? That's a great time. You got to park the car. You're going to be there for a couple hours. See if the scanner picks anything up. Or better yet, when you're sitting there waiting for your kids to finish at wherever they're at, the movies, the mall, the park, with their friends, or you got to wait for your wife or somebody else, and you're sitting there doing nothing in your car instead of looking at TikToks or Reddit or Facebook or anything else, break out the scanner. Find out what it is you're listening to, what's out there. It'll help pass the time, I promise you. So where have I done this? Again, where have I sat there and done war driving or war sitting, war walking, right? Because again, I don't drive when I do this. Can't do that here. Well, like I said, I've left the radio in my backpack when I've been waiting for my daughter to finish her swimming lessons. Yeah, it was in a community center, indoors, and everybody had a radio. Did I hear anything? Not from in there because nobody apparently was using their radio at the time. But I did get other hits from other local repeaters that were just outside there. When I would pick my daughter up from school, I'd be sitting in the parking lot for 10 minutes and I would put the radio on, right? What do I hear? Well, I haven't had any luck picking up the school yet, but I've picked up pretty much every single building that is just outside of the school, from the Ace Home Improvement Center to the UPS or USPS center behind me. There's a couple of other things that are coming in from other languages that I can't understand that are there all the time. They're sounding like there's kids talking on it. So I know that these are hits now, right? And I've marked them down. This is that, and that's this other thing, and this is a hit every single time. And this seems to be a repeater output that I'm just picking up for some reason. It helps pass those 10 minutes or so that I'm waiting for my daughter to get out of school. Where else have I done this? Vacations. Every time vacations. 100% every time vacations. Yes. My family knows that when we go away, at some point, I will be taking a radio out of a bag. And if they haven't seen me do it yet, they're going to ask me when it's happening because they know a radio is coming out of a bag. So hotels, casinos, water parks, tourist traps or attractions. Every time I go, there's a radio that is looking for something. Even if you're on a road trip, because I can't do it in the state I live in, but when I leave the state I'm in, right? When I leave here and end up in another state, I can listen for construction zones. Because sometimes they will lock down a lane, or it's only a 2-lane road, 1 lane either direction, and they have to close down the lane heading one direction. And of course, the flag men will use radios to tell the other person, hey, flip that stop sign over. We're going to let cars now go this way, right? Because God forbid you don't want two people letting cars by and meeting in the middle. So there's a lot of stuff we can pick out when we war drive or war walk or wait for people to come out of wherever it is that we're waiting for them so we can pick them up and go home, right? So what are some best tips and tricks here when it comes to doing this? Well, first of all, I have found that a scanner that allows you to set a negative hold time works best. Because the worst thing you want to do is have a scanner that gets stuck on a birdie for 6 hours while you're at a water park or something like that and never moves. And it gets stuck and you lose everything. So if you could set something that says like after 5 seconds, move on, or after 10 seconds, move on, and hopefully it shakes things loose and you don't get stuck on that transmission the next time around. I recommend having a scanner that covers all the modes you're interested in. P25, NXDN, DMR, analog, digital, right? Scanners that should be able to record if you are mobile help. Not requirement. You can go out with your BC125AT or your 325P2 or your 436, right? As long as you have a way of seeing what's happening and writing it down so you know what's happening is a good way of doing this. I'm just saying here's the best tips. This is what I found to be the most helpful here, right? Paper and pencil will help you mark down signal heard at such and such a street, whatever it is. We can always go back to the logs or your recordings on your radio, right? Now, close call will work if you are extremely close to the radios that are in use. I'm talking really close, line of sight, at most a block away. Signal Stalker, though, is my favorite way of war driving. So break out the TRX-1 or the TRX-2. Because again, TRX-1, TRX-2 will do NXDN, DMR, P25. Signal Stalker is the way to go. If you find something that's interesting, you could always now have an excuse to go back there. Oh, you want to go to the mall? Yeah, no problem. I'll take you there. Yeah, you'll get some odd looks. But it'll allow you now to spend some time pinpointing what it is you're trying to pick up. I have read that some people have been trying to pick up something that's happening in a theater, right? Where plays are taking place. And you can listen to all the wireless mics. So you may not really be an interest in going inside and watching the play, or maybe you have somebody going on a date, right? And you're dropping off the kids and their significant little friend that, you know, I'm going to personally cross that bridge when it gets to it in the next couple of years. But again, hey, in the parking lot, you can hear the wireless mics and follow along with the show. Or you might be able to hear the stage coordinator, right? And give the cues and stuff like that. Who knows, right? It might be something more interesting to listen to than the radio, or like I said, sitting on Facebook and stuff like that for the hour and a half, right? So here's the deal. Remember to go back and dig into what you've heard, right? You can always go back and log more with a software-defined radio if you have to. You can go on the FCC website here if you're in the United States and find out who might be using that frequency. Is there anything in radio reference that leads you to might be using it too if you are stuck, or maybe you have a correction? Don't forget, if you're using Signal Stalker or Close Call, you might be slightly off frequency too, right? You maybe instead of being 162.55, it comes in as 162.45 or 475, right? Close, but not quite. So make sure you're directly on frequency too. So when you're doing your searches, look slightly higher and lower too and see. But again, you may never get a hit if it's something like a wireless microphone or a community frequency or, you know, like business band, right? You're just not going to find the information out there. But by listening and spending some time and being a little bit of a detective, it's rewarding to say, oh, that is so-and-so. Because again, I know it's the Ace Hardware store because they keep asking for, hey, is there any mulch in the back? Oh, we got black and red. What color does the guy want? Well, who else is that going to be? There's only one place where I'm sitting right now that sells mulch, right? That's that. So I want to know, have you gone out war driving? Is this part of the hobby that you enjoy? Because I know I enjoy this part of the hobby. Let me know. Jump on Discord and let's talk about the hits that you've received while war driving or war walking or sitting or whatever it is that you have to do. Scannerschool.com/Discord is the place to have this conversation, and I would love to see you there. Again, next week, I need your questions. The podcast is just about over, so now is a good time to pick up the phone and dial 516-308-2885. Again, 516-308-2885 to ask me your questions. Or go to scannerschool.com/ask, A-S-K, ask, to ask me your questions. Click on the SpeakPipe link to leave me a voicemail that way, or use the form there. And as a reminder, if you use SpeakPipe or our local number, the 516 number, you'll be in the running for a free tutoring session. If you know of somebody that would benefit from hearing this podcast episode, please share the podcast, because again, that is how we help more people with the hobby, and that is our goal. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss next week's session. And make sure you also are subscribed to YouTube so you can catch us live next week as well, because we'll be live answering your questions. My name is Phil Lichtenberger, and this is Scanner School, where we teach you everything to know about the scanner radio hobby. I really hope you enjoyed this session. Again, jump on Discord. Let me know. Catch you all next Tuesday, 73.